Halter is really grateful for every volunteer that we have. We can't do anything without you. One of the things that makes Halter so valuable to the families is that we are becoming a trauma-informed organization. And that means that we are aware that many people, and especially now in the times of COVID, have had some kind of a trauma. What that means is sometimes children in particular will reach out to someone they trust to share something that they may have had happen to them. The best thing to do is just listen. We then need to just be there and be present. If you have questions, please feel free to ask me or Sarah Newman. When you become a consistent and caring individual in a child's life, they may come share things with you that you would be surprised to hear. How do you handle that? First, you listen. You don't need to ask questions. You just need to smile, listen, and be present. If you hear something about child abuse or a child feeling suicidal or wanting to hurt themselves, that is something that you should bring to our attention. Please see either myself, Nancy Pascal, or Sarah Newman as soon as you hear that, as soon as you possibly can. And never agree to keep that a secret. You are important, and you may be surprised sometimes at what you hear, but we will support you. We will help you to be part of that child's life with boundaries and caring, and teach you how to listen and not try to solve their problems, but be present and do what you are doing naturally, which is care.
Hi, welcome to the Halter family. If you're new or if you've been around a while, you know how important we all are to each other. And I just want to add to what Nancy said and just remind you all that it's important to listen to each other too. Sometimes when you're grooming a horse or out in the arena waiting for a rider, that's the perfect time to make those connections. We want to be supportive of each other as well as our riders. So I'm going to talk about how you can support the riders and how you can help them to self-regulate or have self-control over their behavior. And one of the best ways to do this is to set clear, firm boundaries. Now the instructor is going to do that, but you guys are our backup. So if you've got a kiddo that's trying to run to the horse, instead of saying, "Don't run," you can change those words and say, "Let's use our walking feet to get to our horse." Same thing kind of happens when we ask questions. We want to be careful about what questions we ask. Do you want to get off the horse or trot or pet your horse? Gives them the opportunity to say no when the only real option is yes. So remember to be firm and direct and say it's time to get off the horse, or let's pet our horse now. Another way you can help us is to give our riders good feedback. Everybody wants to say things positive like "good job" or "way to go," but let's be specific with our praise. You'll get this language from the instructor, but we just need you to transmit it to your rider at the correct time. So, "Great job sitting up tall in your saddle," or "I really like the way your heels are down and your toes are pointing up," or "Way to go holding those reins with both hands." Just be very specific about what you're praising for. In our lessons, we offer the children choices, and that's fine as long as you're okay with whichever choice they choose. Making choices helps with decision-making processes. It helps them to plan. So it's all beneficial, but just be careful that you're not offering a choice by asking those questions like we talked about earlier. Make sure that you're offering clear choices so they know what they can do and not what is not expected. You want to give them instructions so they know exactly what you're expecting. So we want to help you to give us feedback that's going to be helpful, and so I want to kind of coach you through what kind of feedback is going to be needed. At the beginning of the lesson, the pre-lesson debrief is going to help you know what's expected from your rider during this lesson. So it's very important for you to be here at least 15 minutes before your lesson starts. And then at the end, if you can give us just a few minutes after the lesson is finished, the instructor is going to want to talk to you about what happened in the lesson. So there are different domains that we're going to be looking at, not just writing skills. So some of you that have been with us a while are used to us asking for quantification on writing skills. For example, my rider was able to 2-point with an ankle hold at a walk 4 times down the long side. Or my rider was able to execute a left-hand turn 8 out of the 10 times they tried without any prompts. Those are the kind of things that we need to know. So we need to know a lot of detail about their writing skills. But we're also going to be looking at some other areas. One of those other areas is mobility. So we're going to be looking at how well the child is able to move, particularly if they're in a wheelchair or using a walker or crutches. So pay attention to how far they were able to walk without assistance. Pay attention to when you had to give assistance, at what point in the walk around the arena, that sort of thing. So your feedback observations actually start even before the lesson. As your rider comes into the bleacher area, pay attention to them washing their hands. Did they need help? Did they do it independently? Were they able to put on their helmet by themselves? Or did they need help from a parent? And kind of try to gauge exactly how much help they needed so that you can explain that to the instructor. This is the area of self-care. So different things that they mostly do at home, but we're going to be kind of concentrating on what they do here to help take care of themselves. Another important area is communication and social activities. So does your rider come into the arena and know to give a horseman's handshake without any prompt? Does he greet you as the volunteer, or do you have to initiate that? We want to see how much conversation goes on between you and the rider, so it's going to be helpful to know what size sentences they use. Do they use 3-word sentences or 5-word sentences? All those little details are going to help us flesh out the communication aspect of our riders. Another domain that we're going to be assessing is cognitive. So we want to know what your rider knows in the way of their numbers, their letters, but we also need to know things like motor planning. Can they be given an obstacle course and be able to plan where to go next? Other things you may be able to pick up on are just kind of in the course of conversation. What do they know about? What is it that interests them? All these things are important feedback for your instructor. And one other area that we want to concentrate on is responsibility. So sometimes in the lessons, your rider's going to be given some responsibility, like putting away tack or grooming. Are they able to follow a set of instructions and routine and do it in the same order every time? Another area to think about is safety. Do they know how to keep themselves safe, or are they impulsive and do things that might not be safe? These are areas in the responsibility domain that we're going to need your input on. For this next section, you're going to see some video of some volunteers and some mock riders in actual lesson situation. Pay attention to what the volunteers are doing, and we'll get your feedback based on what you see from these volunteers.
Oh, wait a minute, maybe it's that other way. Oh, go ahead. Hurry. Okay, good. That's close.
Very good. All right, now that we practice our steering.
Good job. Wonderful. Okay, barrel's over there. We're going to practice over there. You got it? Over there. That barrel, that's where we're going to practice, okay, Miss Barbara? You're doing such a good job. I'm so proud of you. So wonderful.
You start with red and weave through your barrel, steering him to the left and the right.
Wait a second. I'm getting a text. I better check it. Make sure, some of my family, sometimes they'll call me when I'm volunteering. I just need to make sure they're all okay. Yeah, they're just telling me what they're having for breakfast. Still a big deal. Am I supposed to tell you not to pull your phone out? What? No, you're not supposed to pull your phone out. Why not? This all your attention needs to be on the rider. Oh, okay. And the instructor. Slide this one down.
All right. So we're going to go
dishwasher right now, I'm not home. So you'll have to come at a different time, okay? It's not a good time because I'm busy helping this poor little boy, help him learn how to ride a horse, okay? All right, we'll see ya. I'm gonna hold on to you. I'm holding on really good. What is she saying? There we go. I'm holding on really good so he won't fall off. Oh, really? Yeah. What do you think? You're good? Okay.
Just as a reminder, I was going to talk to you a little bit about the difference between therapeutic riding lessons and hippotherapy lessons. A lot of you guys have been doing hippotherapy all through the summer, but maybe you've not experienced therapeutic riding. And so let's talk a little bit about the differences. So in hippotherapy, there are essentially 3 different lessons going on at the same time. The person who is in charge of the lesson is the therapist on hippotherapy days. And that's the person that you follow the directions from. That's the person who gives you the instructions for the day. At therapeutic riding, it's a little bit different. You're going to, again, check in before the lesson to find out what the plan is for your rider. The lesson is going to be typically 4 riders at a time, and the instructor is a path instructor who is going to give instructions to the group as a whole. So you'll be following those instructions. It's a little bit more interactive in that we need you to be our voices in the ears of those riders. We need you to be our hands on those riders when they need help physically, and we need you to be able to communicate to us how your rider did. So that's what the main difference between therapeutic riding and hippotherapy is. Once again, we cannot do therapeutic riding lessons or hippotherapy lessons without our volunteers, and so we need you so badly. It is so helpful to us if you can commit to a 2-hour time block. That way you get to know your rider, they get to know you, and it's much easier for you to provide this feedback because you know our riders. So I hope that you can do that, and we look forward to seeing you all this fall. We're looking forward to a great time. See you then.